The first of Felix Mendelssohn's two great piano trios was written in 1839 when the composer was 30 years old. His contemporary Robert Schumann, editor of the most influential musical journal of his day, said of this trio, "This is the master trio of our age," as were the B-flat and D major trios of Beethoven and the E-flat trio of Schubert in their times. It is an exceedingly fine composition which will gladden our grandchildren and great-grandchildren for many years to come. Mendelssohn is generally regarded as the great classicist of his day. He seems always to have been content to hew to the traditional musical forms of the time, and when he does tinker with them, their broad outlines nevertheless remain clear. This fact makes it relatively easy to analyze his music structurally, and is reflected in my running commentary. To summarize the whole before launching into the movements individually, this four-movement work follows the traditional four-movement plan of the symphony and string quartet, with familiar tonal relations between movements: an opening sonata-form movement in D minor, a slow song without words in ABA form set in B-flat major with a B-flat minor B section, a scherzo in D major, and a final movement in sonata rondo form set in the tonic key with a D major coda. In this video, we'll hear a recording by the Esterhazy Trio, available on the EMI Classics label. I am grateful to YouTuber XX for sharing this recording with us, and will link you to the original upload. Movement 1 is a great brooding essay in D minor whose expansive main theme, given first by the cello, has been likened to a great ocean liner plowing through a choppy sea of agitated, arpeggiated, broken piano chords. During the exposition, that theme is supplied with an unsettled second part that is omitted during the recapitulation, and the modulating transition, which sets up the A major second theme, is a long one. The final part of that transition may remind you of my favorite things from The Sound of Music, the bit about barking dogs and stinging bees. The first offering of the second group, theme 2A, is a sweet arching song underlain by a continuous murmuring, a song whose consequent paragraph begins with a phrase elision, a device that introduces just a touch of urgency to this genial outpouring. As the group continues, the music falls into A minor and the exposition closes in this minor dominant key without really closing. The development grows organically from it. In fact, this organicism is a constant feature of this movement, and the ubiquitous arpeggiated and murmuring piano figuration contributes much to that effect. The development is a long one, focusing largely on theme 2A and exploring the thematic contrasts in a way that is itself thematic in quality. The recap is magical. This time, the cello's theme is counterpointed by a sweet, gradually falling lament in the violin. Watch for that counter melody and commit it to memory. Mendelssohn will revisit it during the second movement. The theme is interrupted this time through, hanging up on a half cadence which is then embellished with an interpolated cadenza by the piano, behaving exactly like the interpolated oboe cadenza in the opening movement of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. The recap is scaled back, as usual, with the second part of theme 1 and the first part of the transition missing completely. Theme 2A now reappears in the tonic major key as expected, and the now regular recapitulation unfolds logically therefrom. The coda is a great D minor affair that tries its best to emerge into the tonic major key when the second theme again comes in for treatment, but that heroic effort falls short, and the movement ends with flying scales and arpeggios in the piano, and with great vehemence. Movement 2 is a song without words in the composition's warm submediate key, B-flat major. Its rhythmic profile is that of the gavotte, with the phrasing running from mid-bar to mid-bar. The song is set up as a large double period with the strings echoing the piano's contemplative paragraphs. The B section of the movement begins with a modal shift to the parallel minor and an extraordinarily beautiful treatment of the first movement's violin countermelody with a more turbulent accompanying figure in the piano surges into D-flat major repeatedly in search of warmth, light, and love. Did anyone ever write more magical recapitulations than Mendelssohn? When the A theme returns, it is shorn of its internal repeats. That is, the song is now presented as a standard period, and the musical material is accordingly redistributed, but also beautifully embellished. I won't try to describe it here. I'll just let you enjoy it when its time comes round. I'm sure I've heard other music as beautiful as the coda that Mendelssohn supplied for this movement, but I can't offhand recall where. The D major scherzo movement is worked out in sonata rondo form and features an uncharacteristically long and varied development section that offers a plentiful share of dark moments. In the end, however, the movement's feather-light sweetness and humor prevail, and the ending simply evaporates. The finale returns to the opening movement's tonic key plus the gavotte phrasing of movement 2 and the sonata rondo plan of the scherzo while maintaining the organic, almost monothematic quality of the whole, thus tying everything together in the most classical manner imaginable. The stylistic marking for the movement requires a passionate treatment of the music, but that music begins conspiratorially and only gradually builds up the head of steam that drives its unfolding. The transition is again a long one, this time directed toward F major via its parallel minor. The F major second theme is clearly related to the falling violin countermelody from movement 1 that received such a captivating treatment in movement 2. The development is quite unusual, beginning with a very full treatment of theme 1 in the tonic key, succeeded forthwith by a fully worked out new theme in B flat major, which I have identified as theme 3. As earlier, it is the cello that announces that new theme, and that role will become important in the coda, so keep this treatment in mind. It is only when that theme has run its course that we get a proper development section, and that region is kept to an unusual minimum. The return of the main theme, also serving as the movement's refrain, at the recapitulation gives us the most vehement D minor music of this entire composition, greatly pared down as in movement 1. When the second theme comes back, it is utterly transformed, its previous F major glow now giving place to D minor grief. The coda, which begins with a final return of the refrain, thus emphasizing the movement's rondo-like structure, takes a remarkable turn. The music again swerves into the submediant key as in the development, and the cello attempts to resurrect its broad-breathed third theme. But, as if realizing that it is headed down the wrong harmonic path, the movement soon gropes its way back to the tonic, now in its major modality, and the movement, and with it the composition, ends brilliantly in D major. What I've just offered is an awfully dry way of describing musical magic. So now just forget all that and enjoy that magic.